How is everybody doing this evening? Want to come on and do this before I go lay it down. I just got out of the LSAT training program. Great program, by the way. Anybody, especially minorities looking to get into law school, they have this program they do in the fall called the LSAT prep program. Helps you get ready to take the LSAT. And man, I'm tired. So much reading, so much studying, but and that brings me to today's topic is wrong one. This one. Individual development. Managing personal capacity. Managing personal capacity. When you become an adult, you go from teenager, youth to an adult. You are responsible for your individual development. You had your parents, you had teachers, you had counselors. If you had those, they help you develop in high school or adolescent, teenager. But as an adult, when you become an adult, I can't stress this enough. You are responsible for your individual development. If you don't know, learn it. If you don't want to learn it, you're going to have to take what come with not learning or knowing something. One thing about accountability, it's not about what you did do. Sometimes about what you didn't do. The thing that you didn't learn can hurt you. You have to be accountable for that. Managing personal capacity. I want to show you this picture, kind of give you a visual of what I'm saying. When you talk about capacity, it's ability to use and understand information to make a decision. And another way to look at it is your ability to hold information and use it to make good decisions. You got a small jar, the next jar up, the next jar up, the next jar up, then you got the biggest jar. A lot of times when you're young, you start out with this jar because you're young, you're trying to learn about the world, and as you grow, that capacity gets bigger. The most important thing you have to think about is, what are you filling your capacity with to make decisions, to move forward and live and get to that point of stability? What information are you filling your capacity with when you start growing into those bigger jars? Even as a teenager, what are you filling your capacity with? Because if you're not filling it with educating yourself while in high school, what are you putting in there? What are you putting in that jar? Because you don't have to tell me what you put in there. It's going to show by your results, by your information to make a decision. That's going to show by what you put in that jar. And I'm going to share the things that I put in that jar. I didn't put the right things in there starting out. I put making money was in there, how to make money, which I worked. Having a nice car with rims, putting that in the capacity. Chasing girls, that was in the capacity. All of those things. How can I make it better? How can I be more efficient in those things? And that's what my capacity was. And that's the information I was using to make a decision. And I can tell you from experience, the results show because I'm going to school at 40. And I'm telling you, if you don't want to go to school at 40, get the right information inside your capacity so you can make better decisions. You can only go as far as your capacity can take you. If you have a small capacity, you can only go small places. If you have a bigger capacity, you can go to bigger places. This is what I learned though. In order for me to have a more efficient capacity, some of the stuff that I had in those jars when I was younger, I had to take that out and replace it with better information to make better decisions. Growing up in the inner city, we don't have all the information to increase our capacity to make better decisions outside of the inner city. We only gather in information to survive in the inner city. But I'm telling you, as a 41-year-old, if you want to grow and thrive in your career, you want to make more money, you have to increase your capacity. That's why it's important to educate yourself. When we talked about the steps, you got to take the steps. Spiritual education, academic education, career development, marriage, and family development. But if you don't have the right information stored in your capacity, you will skip steps like I did. Skip steps. And what ended up happening is when you get the right capacity, you realize I got to start over. I got to go back. I got to take some of this old stuff out. It's just junk. That capacity is not helping me go forward. It's only helping me stay linear. So remember that you can only go as far as your capacity can take you. And if you're not liking where you're at, think about your capacity. Think about the decisions. You are where you are because of the decisions and choices that you made. I tell myself that all the time. I'm going to school at 41 because of choices and decisions I made in my 20s and 30s. That's why I'm in school. I'm about to graduate. I think I started when I was, 38? So I don't know, something like that. But you can only go as far as your capacity can take you. Can you intake factual data and information to increase your capacity? Do you know where to get factual data? Do you know where to educate yourself, what you want to educate yourself in? And once you do that, can you take in that to increase your capacity to do more things as an adult? Social media has filled a lot of people's capacities with false hope and with a lot of false information. And if you don't have the capacity to see through that and look past that, you will think that's reality. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of that stuff is not reality, but you got to have the capacity to think and say, I see through that. That's not factual. And sometimes some people make it hard to determine what's factual and what's not because they mix it together. But as an individual development and managing your personal capacity, you are responsible for what you take in, whether it's false or true or factual. You have to really think about what you're taking in and increasing your capacity with, because if you do it with the wrong stuff, it can put you in the wrong situation. You can be in a situation you don't want to be in based on the information that's in your capacity wheelhouse. Can't stress it enough. The better information that you get, the better decisions that you make. Your results will show everything. We live in this era now where people think, they'll say, don't judge me. It's not, nobody's judging you. It's the results that you're putting out. It's showing your capacity. And nobody wants to take criticism. Nobody wants to grow. But if you don't have the capacity to own up to what you're doing, you won't grow. You will stay wherever you're at, or it seems like things will just keep following you. But if you got the capacity to own up to what you're doing and operate from a place of honesty and say, you know what, I'm out of pocket right here. I need to make some changes. I need to do better. That's increasing your capacity by your individual development. Before you start taking on other stuff, you have to do the individual work and understand that you have flaws as an individual, but understanding once you have the flaws, the capacity to work with and can increase your capacity even with your flaws. Can you filter information to manage your capacity? You have to. Different phases of a person. I know me, individually, Mike, I'm a husband. I have to manage that capacity as a husband. I'm a father. I have to manage that capacity as a father. I work. I have to manage my capacity as an employee. And I'm a student. I have to manage my capacity as a student. And what I do at church, working in the kingdom, I have to manage that capacity as well. There are so many different levels of capacities that you have to manage, but you have to take in the right information in order for you to manage it, or you can mismanage it based on the information that you take in. So make sure that you have a filter. That's why it's important to learn spiritual education, because it helps you develop that filter of what to take in and what not to take in. Because if you skip that spiritual education, you can take in the wrong information and it will mess up your capacity to do great things. You may think you're doing some great things, but it won't be a maintained great. It'll come with a bunch of dark clouds, and why you see a lot of people that are successful, but they are depressed or they don't feel fulfilled, is because sometimes the capacity, the information of how you got there probably led you down a rabbit hole of something that is hard to overcome. That's why you got to have the capacity, spiritual education, learn the discernment, and it will help you make better decisions. Remember, your results say everything. What information is your capacity to make decisions based on? What factors into it? That's why I really stress spiritual education. That needs to factor into it. Sometimes your circumstance factor into it. And sometimes the misunderstanding of how everything works outside, like the law, you have to know about that. You got to understand your environment that you're in. You have to know about that. And sometimes it's not having enough information. And I learned as I started to grow, if I don't know about it, I probably don't need to delve in it. And then the things I know about, I need to make conscious decisions based on the capacity. And I need to constantly learn so I can increase my capacity to make better decisions going forward as I grow older. Give you an example. When I was younger, I lost my father at 12 years old. I think it was 12, 11, 12, one of them. Most of the time, for young men, their fathers teach them how to interact, how to talk, how to deal with women in whatever way they teach them. So when he passed away, my capacity of dealing with women was limited based on what I learned in dealing with women, and I increased my capacity based on what I wanted to take in. So that's why I tell people there is no rules to dating, because everybody goes by their own set of rules. You can line up 10 people, ask them what dating is. They'll probably give you 10 different answers. But the crazy part is when you meet somebody, y'all may have similarities, but sometimes it be the little detail stuff that throw you off because they was raised in a different environment, grew up in a different environment. So things you go by, those little detailed things are different. We're going to talk about that on the podcast tomorrow. Make sure you watch that on Thursdays, Thinking Game Podcast at YouTube at CTM TV and on Facebook, CTM TV. And I do it on this channel too as well. So on my personal page, I post it too. Thursdays at 6. That's our time we try to get to. Thursdays at 6. Make sure to watch that. But what information is your capacity to make a decision based on? Sometimes you can take in the wrong information and you can make the wrong decision. I've done it many a time. I'll tell you one thing, like growing up in the inner city is all this thing about courage, about being hard. I've seen people be they don't fear causing harm. They don't fear, shooting at somebody. They don't fear harming somebody. But going to a job interview, they fear that more. The capacity needs to be changed around. It's something in that capacity, that information that think that fear is fine to fear a job interview, but it's perfectly fine based on the circumstance and environment to not have fear, to do harm, shoot at somebody, fight somebody, to do those things. And the information of living in the inner city, surviving, dealing with the perception, sometimes people make decisions based on that. And I'm here to tell you that as you grow, you're going to realize that a lot of the street stuff, there's no love in the streets. It's really not. You may get temporary or something like love that you think that you try to make in your capacity of thinking, but when you really think about it, sometimes the street, it just leads to dead ends, multiple dead ends. So with that being said, I think I'm on my last slide and we getting out of here. What are you factoring into your decision making? Let me know in the comments. What are you factoring into your decision making? What factors do you use? I know for me, when I started going back to school, because I didn't go to school till my later years, I picked up on a pattern of people that get paid the most in the corporate world, in my opinion anyway, get paid, they have a skill set. They have skills. And the more skills you have and can verify and can show, the more value you have. And the more value you have, the more value that you demand on the market, monetary value. And that's what you want to do. You want to increase your value in the corporate landscape so you can demand more money. And the only way you do that is you have to increase your capacity. If you only have this kind of capacity, you can't even put enough money in there. But this capacity will demand more money on the market. But you have to make good decisions to get there to increase your capacity. Because information is key. People reading more, learning more will get you there. I've been in IT for over 10 years. I'm learning new stuff every day. Learn some more in school. I graduate in December or something like that, 14th, something like that. Get my undergraduate degree. And I'm about to, like I say, doing the law stuff, about to take on that. I want to increase my capacity as much as I can so I can increase my value and I can put my family in a great position. My wife and kids, family in great position based on the capacity that God has blessed me with. Don't be like the servant that buried the talent. Don't bury your talent. Don't put your capacity in the ground and don't grow your capacity. Because too much is given, much is required. Remember that. Too much is given, much is required. And that's spiritual education, free, in the Bible. Go check it out. And for me, I don't know if somebody out there listening is like me. Some of the things I had to take out of my capacity, I had to remove it and fill it back in with good things. I'm still doing it to this day. I'm taking out things that was not necessary now. Maybe it was necessary in my younger days, but it's not necessary now. Take that out, fill it back in with good things, and increase my capacity with more good things so I can make better decisions. So, individual development, managing your personal capacity as an adult is one of the most important things that you can do as an adult, especially as an adult male. I don't know about women. Maybe the women can tell me in the comment what's good for them, but as a man, a regular working class citizen, civilian, individual development and managing your personal capacity, one of the most important things you can do. The more you increase your capacity, the more things you can do and the higher you can go. And with that being said, this is Mike from Mike Motivation. While I give you the motivation straight up, no cupcakes, no cookies, just motivation. If you like it, hit the like button, subscribe. Let me know what you think. This is Mike, and I'm signing out.